Good evening, fans, and welcome to another exciting Channel 22 sports presentation. I'm Rufus Washington, joined by Renard Ricks. We've got a split crew tonight, fans. Why? Because we're in playoff season. Renard and I are here at Inglewood High School, home of the Sentinels, as they're hosting your own Lawndale Cardinals. The rest of the crew are following Lusinger and Hawthorne in other games tonight. But Renard, let's talk about tonight's contest. This Inglewood team promises to be a tough challenge for the Lawndale Cardinals.
I tell you, tough is the optimal word. This is going to be a tough battle for our hometown Cardinals. They're coming in against a team that's 20-6, Rufus. Coach Pat Roy told us they only lost 6 games this year, and 2 of them were by 2 points. The other 4 went into overtime. I should say 1 blowout back in a holiday tournament back in San Diego. So he expects to win tonight, and Coach Marks kind of felt those same sentiments. But his team has a lot to play for tonight. Young team. Very optimistic, and I think they should go out with a chip on their shoulder and play like they've got nothing to lose.
I think you're absolutely right. That's what they've got to do if you're a Lawndale Cardinal. And look at this game as your first game for next year. But at any rate, folks, it's the first round of the 2010-2011 CIF playoffs. We're here at Inglewood High School. We'll have the opening tip in just a moment.
About 20 years ago, we used to do the ball games, and I'm expecting an exciting game tonight, even though one team is heavily favored. I'm hoping that the hometown boys from Lawndale will come in and put forth an outstanding effort and make their hometown parents and community extremely proud. And as you alluded to in the outset, this team really has nothing to play for but to look forward to outstanding team next year. And I think this is a building block for them to get ready for next year.
Absolutely, and I was certainly going to ask you about it because it was obvious that you knew Coach Roy quite well, who's in his 19th season here at Inglewood. And, of course, they've had some stars come out of this program.
Let me tell you, stars is one of those things that this team seems to build. As you know, this is the gym that Paul Pierce kind of made famous. Young man that I had the opportunity to see grow up here. Caught him in his junior and sophomore years here. Patrick Roy had just taken over the program, and certainly was a big boost for him and his confidence in getting this program off to a roaring start.
And Coach Roy was telling us earlier about some of the contributions that he's going to be making to the school in terms of the dressing area for the players. I know we'll get into that a little later, but you're right, he and many others. And when you've had the kind of consistency of having a Coach Roy around for 19 years, you certainly build a tradition, which is what Coach Glenn Marks is trying to do at Lawndale in his second year.
Indeed, and he knows Patrick Roy. He's seen him grow up, and he's had several battles against Inglewood over the course of years. And clearly this is a program, both of them know each other quite well. It'll be interesting to see if this old rivalry is one that we can certainly enjoy tonight.
Now this is a Division 3A matchup between teams that are local teams, but they play in different leagues. Of course, we know that Lawndale is in the Pioneer League, and Inglewood, which is joined by our other local school, Hawthorne, in the Ocean League. Right in the same community, but different leagues. So this is an opportunity for a Pioneer League school to see how they match up with the Ocean League, which one would have to say probably would be considered by most a bit more competitive.
Indeed, I kind of make the analogy of that ACC Big Ten rivalry, and this is what I consider, teams that know each other quite well, don't play each other as far as league, but they used to play a lot because of the way the pairings used to be and the way they were seated. But as you mentioned, now that Inglewood has moved over into the Ocean, it's kind of kept them from meeting each other as often, but I know both teams are looking forward to hooking up tonight because a lot of these young men play each other on the park. They see them in AAU. So this is, if you will, I think this is a kind of a homecoming for a lot of these young men.
Certainly is, and one of those guys, as we were talking, as I mentioned to Coach Roy earlier, in his starting lineup, Julius Bilbrew, who actually played at Hawthorne. The Hawthorne fans have a nickname for him. They call him Judas Bilbrew.
I wonder what that has to refer to.
Right. But because they had big expectations for Julius over in the Hawthorne program. If he had been there, of course, he's a senior this year, spent the last 2 seasons here at Inglewood High School.
And one of the things that I'm really impressed with this Inglewood team, he has 4 seniors that are starting. So, you know, you like to think that when you got that heavy of a senior starting lineup, you like to think your team is fairly good and they're going to do well during the course of the season. Because as we talked about weeks and weeks ago, this is the final chance for these young men to perhaps don their high school colors. And truly, you can just about feel the emotion here tonight. They know how important this is, and no doubt they're going to put on their best performance for their home fans.
All right, well, now we have an opportunity to hear the Lawndale starting lineup introduced. Our own Lawndale Cardinals.
From the Lawndale Cardinals, their starting lineup, number 2,
Ron Pearsall rolling. He said Ronald rolling Pearsall. No surprise there. He's been a starter all season, along with Lamar Young. Small starting backcourt. Now Munoz, one of their big scorers. He's expected to contribute. Beckles, who we saw the other night, and the senior who's come a long way in just his first year of organized basketball, Aaron Key, will round out the starting 5 for the Lawndale Cardinals.
The young man, Aaron Key, has a lot of potential. I think we had a chance to chat with his father a game or 2 ago, and he alluded to the fact that the young man is really progressing this year. He'd like to see him end up at some place like Occidental College next year.
Damon Rogers, the first guy out for the Sentinels. He's joined by number 21, Carlos Thomas. Thomas, a senior at 6'3".
There's the young man that you call Julius.
Right.
Judas.
But here they call him Jammin' Julius Bill Brew. Randy Alwansar, number 3, comes out. He's the other guard at 6'2". They've got listed height at every position.
And then Coach Roy has a young man that comes off the bench that's just a sophomore at 6'9". He expects to play some tonight. Coach Roy said he started earlier in the season, but he's fell upon some injuries, and he's going to give him a bench start tonight.
And Ron Mitchell, of course, number 24, is their star player. As you well know, he comes in averaging 16 points a game, leading the way. Gives us a chance to mention also that the officiating crew for tonight's contest is a crew out of South Orange County, and that's Stoney Jackson, whom, if you're a Channel 22 sports fan, you'll know that we saw Stoney on Lusinger's run 2 or 3 times last year, including the season-ending game up at Westchester Taft. And he's joined by Michael Connor, another veteran official out of South Orange County. Of course, when you get to the playoffs, Renard, only the best seriously are selected. So we expect this game to be everything about it. 5 games it takes to win a sectional title. We've seen it happen before on Channel 22, and Lusinger did it last year. This year, the Cardinals, they take their run at that same sectional championship.
Well, definitely they have the opportunity. It's going to be an uphill battle, but hey, these are what dreams are made of, and certainly upsets are born for. So let's see how it pans out tonight as the tip-off is off.
And the official, Stoney Jackson, gives the tip, and the Cardinals control the tip, knocked out of bounds by the Sentinels.
And that's a good start for the Cardinals to get the first opportunity to score. I think if they can get a bucket here early, it'll certainly help their confidence and get them off to a good start. Like the officials, a little time-keeping cue on the side. They want to get straight here. And so the Cardinals will inbound it underneath their bucket.
So Munoz looking to inbound, looking for somebody, gets it to Pearsall. Pearsall being guarded by number 12. That's Damon Rogers. We'll get the Inglewood guys figured out in just a moment. Lamar Young out at the top, dribbling against the defensive pressure of Randy Anwasar.
Near turnover there. I thought he almost palmed that ball.
And there you have the turnover there on the attempt to feed Key. Now, one of the things that Coach Roy told you earlier when you asked him about the defense that he plays, he was real simple about it.
He says he plans to get in their jeans or their shorts, if you will, man to man. And that's the way he started it out. Got the turnover, and now the Sentinels trying to get something here started. Moving it around, and the big man took the first shot. That was number 10, Julius Bilbrew, who is the leading scorer for this team, unable to get it to go down.
That shot put up by Mitchell. He'll be easy to remember. His shot doesn't go. Beckles keeps it alive, comes off to Munoz, and now going right to left are the Sentinels. Beckles looked for something baseline, turned away. Now Munoz puts up a shot, and he gets the Cardinals on the board first.
And that's an excellent start for the Cardinals. Just what they need, and Coach Patrick Roy doesn't like what he sees early. He's going to call a quick timeout here with 6:43 remaining in the first period.
Wow, and that was quick, as you mentioned. Lawndale scores one basket, and he's immediately unhappy.
He's got something on his mind quick and early. He doesn't want this game to get out of hand. I thought he would have played a little bit of Phil Jackson, if you will, let him go up and down the court. Surely he has to understand these kids are a little excited, a little nervous, but clearly they must have taken some shots that he didn't draw up early in the game plan. He wanted to remind them of it right quick, get a better shot this time down.
And he knows he has a championship caliber team. Last year, this team, which starts 4 seniors, went 2 games deep in the playoffs. He's expecting a much deeper run this year.
No doubt about that. You can tell by that first time out. A little inside, outside, looking for somebody on top.
Yep. Shot from the left side. That was Randy Onwaswa who puts it up and in. And they give him a 3-pointer on that. So.
Yeah. Nice release as he got to the arc and took the shot uncontested. And the Cardinals now on offense, and Munoz gets a nice little look, unable to get it to go down.
And admittedly, this is a situation, I think, Renard, where the Cardinals are actually going to have to depend on the outside shot. That basket put up and in by the big man, Mitchell, Ron Mitchell.
That's the leading scorer for this Sentinel team, and no doubt they expect for him to get into the game early and often. I like the way that extra pass on that last time down as the Sentinels rush it. And there's number 22, looks like. Well, that was 21.
And out of the timeout, they score 6 quick points. They take away the 3-pointer. The adjusted score say it was only a deuce.
That's a good call by that veteran official team.
You got to take that. Young trying to do too much, had the wide open 3, hesitant to shoot. And bad decision on his part, if you ask me.
You're right on the head with that, Rufus. He's got to learn to take that shot. He didn't start the last game, and I would have hoped the outstanding game he had would have gave him some confidence as the Sentinels missed that little jumper inside the paint.
But they control the offensive rebound, and this is going to be something where every opportunity Lawndale has to capitalize. Things like giving up offensive rebounds doesn't help their cause.
No, they can't allow this Sentinel team to have 2 and 3 shots at the bucket each trip down the court. And already I have them unofficially with 3 offensive rebounds. That shot looked like it was partially blocked by Key, but they said no, it went out of bounds. So looks like the Cardinals will get it. We're looking at some full court pressure now. So the tempo trying to get picked up here by the Sentinels. That's the young man, Lamar Young, bringing it across the timeline. And
so Lawndale, after scoring their first basket at the 6:43 mark, have gone 2 minutes now without a basket. We're 6-2 ball game here in the first quarter. I mentioned that we got coverage elsewhere, fans. The rest of the crew is out at Chino Hills covering the Lusinger Chino Hills game, which is a Division I AA. Our friends at Hawthorne, we don't have coverage with them tonight, but we are working to get their scores as quickly as possible. They're in Alhambra in a Division IIA game playing Mark Keppel.
Well, I think it's just outstanding that we have so many teams in the playoffs, and that, I think, should be just a huge boost of confidence for not only the residents of Hawthorne and Lawndale, but the parents of these young men.
Munoz's shot from the outside doesn't go down. Inglewood comes back. They look inside. Boy, they're trying to take advantage of the young man, McKee. Once again, ball comes off the rim. Second offensive rebound that they've controlled.
And that is a real killer, especially if they're able to score on this. And that is the thing that will certainly cripple a team and take all the confidence away from them, as looks like there will be a turnover there, and the ball will go back to the Cardinals.
And the Cardinals bring on a couple of substitutes. A normal starter, Eric Gray Jr., comes on the floor now, along with Romeo Bryant. And when Bryant comes on, that means that Key goes to the bench.
Now, this is the more custom starting five that we've been used to earlier, but the miss there, and the Sentinels are off and running early. A nice hands. Look like Munoz got his hand in there. They need to slow it up. Quit trying to run with this Inglewood team.
And I'm not sure you want to get in a track meet with these guys, but Munoz doesn't mind putting up the triple from
and
outside.
Munoz is in a groove. He's got 3 now, or 5. He has all of the Lawndale points thus far. Nice get back on defense, and that is one of the things that Coach Marks talked to us about at the beginning of the game. His team was going to have to get back on defense, prevent the easy run out.
So makes it a 1-point ball game, 6-5, 3 minutes left. So turnover on the part of the Sentinels. That's their first of the ball game.
So both teams still to be a little raggedy here early in the ball game. I'm hoping it's just playoff jitters, if you will, and by the time we get to that second period, they should be well warmed up.
And I'm sure, I know when I coached Renard, you break the game down into segments. And at first it's a 4-quarter game, and then I'd break that quarter in half and let my guys know we want to win every couple of minutes, guys.
Exactly.
You know.
Well, they tried to get fast break, but fortunately Lawndale got back, shut it down, and now they'll set it up, see if they can work Patrick Roy's offense.
Lawndale seemingly playing a boxing one. That one comes off, but offensive rebound.
Another offensive rebound.
But a good block by Romeo Bryant.
Another offensive rebound. That's 5 unofficially.
Okay.
And Coach Marks has got to get somebody in there to get on that board and play some rebounds.
And as a result, they give up yet another basket. Extends the lead now out to 8-5 with 1:55 left here in the first. But it was 2 offensive rebounds on that possession that gave them the scoring opportunity, Renard.
Indeed, and Chris Munoz brought his A game tonight. Looks like Rufus, he plans to do all he can to put on that Cardinal in black again one more time.
Well, he's certainly keeping them in the game at this point. Wow, that shot
Number
put up
1,
and in
that's
by
James
Jamie
Harper
Harper.
with his first bucket. And they say it was a 3. So both teams starting to heat up here with 1:13 and counting left in the first period. And we've got another turnover by the Cardinals.
Wow.
And we got a foul and one, looks like. My.
And that's one of those deals where it's a bad foul by Young. You either got to commit to the foul and stop the basket or get out the way.
Exactly.
Okay?
You can't give both. And this team can ill afford to put the starters in foul trouble here early. Coach Marks has a short bench. A lot of the young men have not played regulation ball consistently, and that was one of the things he's certainly concerned with tonight, how his team is going to perform under these conditions. Because these young men have never been in the playoffs, many of them.
So 2 6-0 spurts by Inglewood gives them a 14-8 lead.
And he stepped out of bounds. That's another turnover for the Cardinals. They're really having a rough way getting started. Coach Marks up off the bench. He's got a substitute coming in. That's Jason Lopez coming in to replace Young, who's been having a hard time at that point position.
And so coming in is Jason Lopez. And coach immediately signs Damon Rogers to Jason Lopez. Little man-to-man. Nice pull-up jumper by Harper over Pearsall. 16-8 game, biggest lead of the game. And now another near turnover, and it is a turnover for the Cardinals as Sentinel pressure is starting to get to the Cardinals just a little bit.
That's what I was just about to allude to. This full court pressure that Patrick Roy has gone to really seems to be causing problems for the Cardinals.
So after being down 2-0, they've outscored them 16-6 the rest of the way in the first quarter.
And we were knotted up at 8 apiece. They haven't scored since then, and truly, Coach Marks has got to be concerned as they're saving it for the last shot here in this first period. Ooh, a turnover. You got to put that down before you dribble, before you take a step, young man.
And that's the inexperience of a guy like Romeo Bryant, a guy who's finding his basketball legs, great football player, getting used to this game a little bit.
Excellent point there, Rufus. Indeed, the young man not accustomed to playing that much. Probably still feel like he's out on that football field a little bit. So that's the end of the first quarter.
So after one, here on Hawthorne Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22. Our score is 16-8, courtesy of 2 6-0 runs by the Sentinels. And well, let's give the Cardinals credit as well. They had a little 6-0 run of their own because they were down 8-2. They took a 2-0 lead. Inglewood called timeout, ran off 6 quick points, and then actually ran off 8. Then Lawndale came back with 6 of their own. And it's been a game of streaks.
Yes, and if Lawndale could find someone else they could put a bucket, get it in the scoring column, we'd have a real good game tonight. This young man by the name of Chris Munoz has really come in tonight and is the one who's keeping them in the game. I was a little disappointed that Coach Marks didn't call a timeout earlier when he saw his team falling behind. Clearly they're trying to work it through, but they can't fall behind too far. That has been the mode of operation of this team. They seem to fall behind. They spend the entire second half trying to get back. Oftentimes they do. But then the waning moments of the fourth period, they spent so much gas, they can't get over the hump, and they end up losing some tough battles.
So what would you say has to be Coach Marks' objective for this next 8-minute segment of the game?
He needs to settle his team down, get some good shots up. I think they're rushing, trying to keep up with this Sentinel team. They can't run up and down the court with them. We already established that. I think he needs to come down, set the play, and get a good shot.
And I would add, and that's excellent observation. And I would add to that, and I said this during the last game as we have a turnover by the Sentinels, going to give it to the Cardinals, and now the Sentinels showing full court pressure. You know, I said this the last game. One of the things that I would give some consideration to is putting both of my big guys in, particularly the way that we've not been able to control the defensive board, and we're not even getting second chance points on the offensive end.
And that's a good point, Rufus, as you see the charging call going against, I believe that's number 20. Looks like number 24. That's the main man for him. Ron Mitchell picking up the charge. But I think that's an excellent observation on your part, Rufus, because clearly the way they're getting beat on the inside on these offensive rebounds, he has nothing to lose. I'd put every tall guy I got. If nothing else, I've got to limit this Inglewood team to 1 shot.
And as I said the other night, I'd at least take a look at it. And a lot of times you'll see coaches do that. They'll just take a look at something to see what the possibilities are. And now coach calls a timeout as the lead is extended here at the beginning of the second quarter to 18-8, 7:04 left. Lawndale forced into their first timeout of the ball game.
It's got to be disheartening to come out after a timeout and your team execute the way they did down. I'm sure that's one of the things Coach Marks is talking about. He drew up a play, they got down, they beat the pressure, and then they didn't get up a good shot. Clearly this team has got to settle down and get up some good shots if they plan to get back into this ball game.
Well,
so down by 10, Rufus. They've got to get a bucket here, and Coach Roy from Inglewood is keeping that full court pressure up. He thinks he's found something that works, and no doubt it has. They've created so many turnovers. Lawndale has got to find somebody that can get that ball across half court and then settle it down. Wow. There's another turnover. Great. And an easy bucket and a foul.
And now he's going to send Beckles in to see if he can do something. Rolando Beckles.
Roderick Shaw picking up the deflected pass. Got it down inside the paint and was able to get it up off the glass and drew the foul, and he'll go to the line now.
So this game at 20-8 with a three-point opportunity coming for Roderick Shaw, starting to get away here in the early going from the Cardinals.
And
again,
another offensive rebound. I tell you, Coach Marks sitting there with his hand on his chin. He's got to be just very disappointed the way his team is putting forth an effort here tonight.
Yeah. Well, I like what Romeo Bryan is doing. He's playing pretty good defense, but that three-pointer put up and in by Jamie Harper makes it a 23-8 ball game. Again,
Another offensive rebound. And we played most of this game on this end of the court. Truly, Coach Marks going to his big man Key now, sending him to the check-in table. He's going to come in and see if he's going to take out.
Going in for.
And that's where we think he should leave Beckles or the big guy, Romeo Bryan, in there. Taking Bryan out. That's smart by Beckles there. Just bring it across. Your man not pressuring you. Get it across the timeline yourself.
Exactly. Long time since the last scoring opportunity. They've got it underneath, fighting with each other. They put it up to draw the foul. Looks like Beckles is going to go to the line to shoot two.
So the young man Beckles coming in, bringing some new energy for Coach Marks and this Cardinal team. And hopefully he can knock these free throws down. They have not scored in this second period.
And unfortunately, Beckles can't take advantage of the free opportunity.
And I believe in order for this team to stay competitive tonight, they're going to have to hit from the charity stripe when they get their opportunities.
Beckles makes 1 out of 2, gets the Cardinal on the board.
Well, this Inglewood team gets into their offense quick and hurry. And the shot put up out of the corner there by number 23. That's Javon McClinton in the game. Unable to go down, but again, they got the offensive rebound. It went out of bounds, and so the Cardinals will take it out, and they're looking again at that full court pressure and another turnover.
Wow.
Man.
Nothing struggling against the full court pressure.
And Rufus, unofficially, I've got 10 turnovers here, and we've still got 5.5 minutes to play in this second period as they get a foul. That's what we think they can do. If Aaron Key gets on the board, that might be the ticket. Get the big man in, let them get some rebounds, and hopefully they can draw some fouls and put this Sentinel team in foul trouble. And then they've got to go and capitalize at the charity stripe. There's a long pass down. Another turnover there. And
so right
Coach
now,
Marks a little upset with the announcers here at the Sentinel home gym, kind of making fun of his team a little bit, and didn't take light to that.
Exactly.
And rightfully so.
Exactly. Well, and the point he was making, which is well taken, was that the house announcer is broadcasting it on an open mic. Wow.
Exactly. His job is to just give the names and talk about what happened.
So
we've got some changes here for the Sentinels. The big 6'9", Charles Lockwood coming in, just a sophomore. Coach Patrick Roy says he started back in the beginning of the season, and he's coming off the bench here tonight.
And he's standing next to Key, and Key is listed at 6'6". Two big guys going at it of about approximate skill level, so this should be an interesting matchup.
And Gray with a hustle play, unable to keep it in, looks like. But that's the hustle that it's going to take for this Lawndale crew if they're going to be successful tonight. And it's those kind of plays that'll tell the rest of the guys, come on, let's play.
Exactly.
Let's do what we're supposed to be doing.
And you got to show fight and heart, okay?
And especially, this could be your last chance to don that black and red. And there another offensive rebound. Lawndale just getting really destroyed inside. Got to get tougher inside, and here we go. He's coming in now with the big guy.
Well, let's see if they're going to go with a two-post lineup, or we simply substituting one post player for another.
They were trying to get that call straight, and looks like they're going to call it on. I believe it's going to go
it's like you
against
said,
Key.
there is no 31. I think the foul's going on Key.
Right. So Lockwood will see if he can knock down the free throw. So both teams kind of struggling from the charity stripe here early. But with a 23-9 lead, I don't think Coach Patrick Roy is too concerned about his opportunities at the charity stripe. Both shots short.
Wow.
Now that's something, if this Inglewood team goes further, they're going to have to work on.
Eric Gray gets away with a bit of a hole. As Javon McClinton says, the reason I walk, or I should say, that's number 32, Joseph Singleton.
So Coach Roy has called off that full court pressure now. Going to set up into that man-to-man and see if he can just shut him down on this end. And we've got a palming call.
Yep. One of the more common violations, something that kids are just adopting, and I as an official and most others. And first of all, we've been instructed by the National High School Federation to take it out of the game.
And
Good
Gray.
shot put up by Eric Gray Jr. I know his dad's sitting right behind us. He's proud of a young junior on that steal and conversion.
Well, I tell you, Gray has come in with some energy and has really sparked this team. Had a near turnover, a near steal, and now he does get a steal and gets an easy two. Try to get some momentum for this team. He has all of the points for him here in the second period. There you go. Like the way the young man in there, Romeo Bryant, battling on the board, giving his team a chance here now, limiting that Sentinel team to one shot.
So Pearsall brings it up this time. He's joined in the backcourt with Munoz. Eric Gray is also on the floor, along with Redondo Beckles. And
they have settled down. They're starting to play better now. Sentinels have called off the full court press. It's just a matter if they can get in their offense, get up some good looks, see if somebody can get hot right quick. With 3:08 remaining, they need to get a couple of good trips down, get some scoring for them, get some momentum going into halftime.
so Beckles looking to inbound, does so on the sideline. Wow. Late whistle there, but the correct call by the official. Again, the official, Mike O'Connor. As I mentioned, this is O'Connor and Stoney Jackson. We'll talk about Stoney if you're old school and a fan of the White Shadow.
Yeah.
You remember Stoney Jackson?
Oh, yeah.
As one of the key actors from the old White Shadow days.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of time on the shot clock. Wow. Okay, again, penetration. Guys not taking shots that are there in front of them.
Trying to make the extra pass when they've got the open look, and that's gotten them in trouble. We've seen that happen 2 or 3 times here. And there's Gray almost with a steal. And then we got steps, and that's a good call. No, you move the right foot first, young man. Good call there, Stoney. tee him up if he
Exactly.
talks too much.
Yep.
That's one of the things I think officials, certainly at this level now, when you get to the playoffs, these young men need to zip that lip and play
Exactly.
ball, because it'll be a technical that'll cost them a game. Nice fake. Oh,
Couldn't get it to go, but great move, as you said, by Munoz.
excellent move by Munoz. Did the up and under fake, got the big man off his feet, drove through and got a nice look, unable to finish it as he put it up a little too hard. So Pearsall, with a near steal, knocked it out right in front of us, and the Sentinels will take over with 2:22 remaining here in the first half.
So the Sentinels bring Edward Scott Jr. on the floor. He's number 13. They leave number 12 out there, Damon Rogers, who's in the lineup, along with 45, Mikael Wade, the big guy, Charles Lockwood. And 10, Julius Bilbrew. That shot doesn't go. Tie up with Romeo Bryant getting in there.
I like the way Bryant is aggressive going after that ball, and he looks like he's got nothing on his mind tonight but getting rebounds.
Yeah.
And if he does that for Coach Marks and these Cardinals, they're going to be in this ball game, because rebounding has been their Achilles heel thus far.
Cardinals looking for a couple of scoring. Wow. Thought he gave it up on the stride. Official thinks otherwise. So, a missed opportunity yet again for the Lawndale Cardinals. Playing good defense on one end, Renard not able to execute offensively on the other end.
That's like giving yourself some confidence, and then you go right down on the other end and just throw it all away. As number 10, Julius Bilbrew, with his first bucket of the game. And another turnover, I tell you. And there were some steps that the officials missed. Looked like a little drag there. But one trip, one shot, that's got to be encouraging.
Yeah, but Lawndale has got to capitalize, and Key does so again after it went out to 26-11. Key makes it 26-13.
Eric Gray doing all he can to try to keep his Cardinals in this ball game.
Well, he's certainly picking up where Munoz left off. Munoz hadn't scored in a while. Bilbrew. Now Munoz comes down with it under the pressure, gives it over to Pearsall. Pearsall in the middle of the floor. Slows it down for just a moment. Our view obstructed momentarily. Munoz inside, lays it up, can't get it to go. Now we come back the other way. Beckles, look at his man, but they don't come down with the rebound. Ball's loose, you gotta get on the floor. They come away with it.
Right.
They being the Cardinals. Munoz with it. Munoz being told to slow it down, gets it over to Pearsall. 19 seconds left in the quarter. They're down by 3. That shot put up by Pearsall from distance doesn't go. So last shot will probably go to Inglewood.
And I was just about to say the Cardinals hadn't heard from our young man, Mr. Pearsall. And there's another offensive rebound, and Charles Lockwood able to knock it down at the buzzer.
Certainly was. I mean, and that was definitely at the buzzer. They came off. So after one half, Lawndale Cardinals hanging tough. But the Sentinels of Inglewood enjoying the home court advantage. 4 seniors with playoff experience. They've asserted themselves, and they go in the locker room, Renard, firmly in control of this ball game.
Well, everything's been going their way, Rufus, and clearly you have to also say Lawndale's helped them out a lot. Unofficially, I've got 15 turnovers, not to mention Inglewood with almost 10 offensive rebounds. Clearly, Coach Marks has got his hands full at halftime to try to settle his team down, come up with something that they can do. And I'd like to see him get his big men in there. They seem to be working on the boards harder now, and that's got to be encouraging. I look forward to the second half.
You do, I do, and I know the fans of Hawthorne Lawndale Community Cable Channel 22 do as well. So, as the Inglewood Sentinel cheer squad and pep squad do their thing, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back, fans, with second half action right after this. All right, we're back to live action, fans. Boy, you talk about getting the game going. These two guys don't mess around, Stoney Jackson and Mike O'Connor. When they say it's time to go, it's time to go.
Hey, they put that clock up and start running. That means it's time to play ball. Nice turnover here as the Cardinals coming out. Had a chance, Rufus, to talk briefly with Coach Marks. He said he talked about offensive halftime. He expects for them to get it, and that's a positive sign there as the Cardinals come out here and get the first bucket.
Eric Gray with the bucket. Eric, of course, he and what's his name? He and Munoz. I know his name, fans. So settle down.
Exactly.
He and Munoz were the two hot hands the whole first half.
Carried this team. Carried them on their shoulders the entire first half. 15 points, if you will, came from the Cardinals in that first half. 8 of those points came from Munoz, and Eric Gray had 4. Just picks up his second one here as number 24. That's the guy that's carrying this team from Inglewood, Ron Mitchell. A little light in the scoring thus far, but clearly I'm sure Coach Roy expects him to pick it up here in the second half. Well, they're giving us a little shout out there, Rufus. Make the visitors feel welcome.
There you go. We don't get that often, so you're right. It does make you feel pretty good.
Hopefully they'll feel good if Lawndale comes back winning this game. Hopefully they'll still feel like that.
I don't think we'd get. I guarantee you we'd get an escort out of town if they did.
Oh, I like the way Lawndale's come out at halftime here. They've certainly picked it up offensively and looks like defensively as well. And this is one of those times in the game, it's crucial for Lawndale to get some positive points and some positive plays going. And it looks like we've got a foul on the outside. And the officials are going to call them together.
Right.
That's a good call by the officials.
Yeah.
Bring the young men together, tell them what they did wrong, and then send them back out there and let them play.
And that's Stoney Jackson taking firm control of the game. And you're exactly right, Renard, as we watch them work. And for me, you know, as a fellow official, it's a joy to watch these guys work the way they are. We got a 5-second count. 3.
And they tried to sneak that ball in a little too before they were ready. So that bucket is no good as we've got a timeout. Coach Marks wants to talk to them. They were trying to get back into this ball game. Coach Marks wants to talk to the officials, and they're going to oblige him and come over and talk to him. Apparently he sees something he doesn't like, or he wants to confirm that what's happening down low is.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times, and I got to say it's about coaching, and you try to work the officials. You use every trick in the book.
Oh, yeah.
That's a fine line to walk with an official because you don't want to start to appear as if though you're whining.
Exactly,
okay?
Exactly.
And
I think even you will admit, most officials appreciate a good question.
Absolutely.
Don't dog me. Don't talk about the play. Let me know what your concern is, and I'll give you an answer, and then we'll play ball from there. But, you know, officials, they can be temperamental, and that's clearly one of – here we go with a nice – and we've got the tripping foul, and that's going to go against number 21. So Thomas picking up the personal, and let's see if Mr. Pearsall can get off. He has not scored in this game tonight, and I find that just – really different, as he has got to be one of the leading scorers for this Lawndale team.
And now what you got, so now you got both coaches working
the officials. Coach Roy says he thought he had a push off on Pearsall, and the official says no. He got tripped before he pushed him, I believe. So Pearsall finally in the book, Rufus.
Exactly, and that's the missing third link for them Again, Munoz and Gray have been doing their part. Pearsall makes a couple of free throws.
And let's see if Pearsall can get off here now in this third period.
The other thing that also has to happen is that you got to maintain some control. Big man with it, gives it over to Munoz, does the right thing, finds a guard over to Gray. They can slow it down a little bit.
Pearsall thought about that three, pulled it back out. I think he needs to turn it loose. He's one of the better shooters on this team. He and Munoz are going to have to carry the load along with Gray. And Gray was underneath the bucket and they missed it.
10 seconds on the shot clock.
And Young had a hard first half. He's coming out here in this second half. Imagine Coach Mark says, you want to stay in the game, you better play better than you did in that first period.
And right now the Cardinals making a little run of their own. The half started, the third quarter started at 28-13. It is now 30-19. So they've outscored them 6-2 here with a chance to make it 7-2 here in the opening minute and a half of the third quarter.
And here's what we talked about. They've got to be able to go up and knock these down.
Yeah. They don't call them free throws for nothing. That's money you're leaving on the bank. And boy, the franchise comes back the other way. At least that's what they call him. That's Ron Mitchell.
And look like the Sentinels have gone back to a little token half-court press, trying to disrupt this Lawndale offense. Pearsall inside, kicks it out. Little two-man game there, didn't get it to work. Offensive rebound there, Rufus.
That one taken down by Carlos Thomas. The franchise has it, loses it. Eric Gray again. Boy, Eric Gray making a huge campaign for the Channel 22 player of the game.
Gray is really playing at a high level tonight, along with Munoz, trying to keep this game within reach. Young with it out on top now, looking over that defense.
Plenty of time left on the shot clock. Key comes out to set a screen, just what I was thinking. Gray against the franchise. Gives it over to Pearsall. Pearsall shot from distance, doesn't go. Mitchell comes down with it, passes it over to Damon Rogers. Boy, they're moving the ball faster than we can say it. That's the kind of pace Inglewood plays at, though.
And just when we thought that it looked like the Cardinals were going to try to make a run, they've fallen down again by 15.
Never more than 15. They've managed to stay close.
And we've got a push underneath. And it's going to go against Pearsall, look like.
Okay. All right.
Yep, Pearsall gets the call underneath. Trying to get position, looks like. Unable to get inside those big guys and establish himself, as looks like the Sentinels now will take it out.
So bringing it up as a backcourt consisting of Ansawar and Rogers. Mitchell, Ron Mitchell out on the floor. Is Bill Brew out there. Bill Brew also out there. That shot put up by Ansawar.
They've got to extend that defense out further than that. He was literally at the free throw line almost when he took that shot. Young, penetrating. He's going to draw the foul, I believe. Looked like it might have been a clean block, but they say he got him on the body as he went up.
So now the Cardinals down by their largest deficit of the game at 36-19.
And Coach Marks getting ready to make some substitutions, bringing in his big man. Not until Young shoots at least this first free throw. Another chance here now to draw his team a little bit closer.
That last foul called against number 12, Damon Rogers. Young converts a free throw.
So Rufus, both teams making some substitutions here. Key will come out, Gray will come out, and going in is Romeo Bryant, along with number 4 for the first time tonight, Marcus Millen.
Marcus Millen, you're right, getting his first action tonight. He had a couple of big baskets last week in the game against Culver City. We've yet to see the other senior on this team. There are only two, Aaron Key and Jalen Arnett. But give Lamar Young credit. He knocks down 2 free throws, brings it back to a 15-point game. Whoa!
There's your transfer from Hawthorne, putting this staple on this game. Had a rough first half. Looks like he's settled down and now ready to play some ball.
You can see why the fans at Hawthorne not real happy at Bill Brew's decision to leave. Wow.
And Pearsall trying a little too hard. Almost had the offensive rebound legitimate. Then he lost it and committed the foul trying to get it back.
Right, he went for the ball. Sometimes fans won't understand that, but what he did was, even though he dived on the floor, he created a disadvantage for the opponent who had an opportunity for the ball, and that's one of those situations where the referee calls advantage, disadvantage. Wasn't so much that the foul was, you know, something wrong with it, but it was what the effect of the foul was.
Indeed, as that was Damon Rogers with his bucket. So the Sentinels now with that full court pressure again.
And at 40-21, that's their new largest lead of the game. There you go, Beckles. Sometimes you just got to rise up, young man. Munoz trying to do it inside, can't get it to go, had a nice look at it. Coming back the other way is Singleton.
And he almost palmed that ball himself, got it out of his hands.
Bill Brew with it. Like I say, the young man, he's a work in progress. That's Lockwood, the 6'9" guy. Millam, wow.
That's the reason Lawndale needs to slow this ball down. Their ball handlers aren't really that proficient at times. They seem to struggle trying to push that ball down the court, get a little pressure. The ball goes off of the leg of number 4, Millen. And we've got another turnover, so the Sentinels will go the other way.
Singleton puts it up, gets it to drop.
So Singleton with his first bucket of the ball game. So Pearsall now looking for some help, gets it to Munoz, and Munoz with a little push gets the shot off, and it rattles around and goes down. So Rufus Munoz really trying to stick it in here. Boy, a nice long pass down court.
Shot put up, comes off of Inglewood Sentinel. So with 2:07 left in the third, Lawndale trails by a score of 42-23. It's a huge deficit right now, but you got to get a Carl a lot of credit. I think they came to play, and they're playing with a lot of effort, a lot of intensity, and a lot of heart. But quite frankly, they're playing against a team that's got just a little bit more talent than they do.
Indeed, but I am, like you mentioned, I'm really impressed with their heart and energy tonight. They playing a lot better than they did against Culver City. We saw them earlier in the week. This team is really playing with their hearts here tonight, and that's got to be uplifting because a lot of these young men, as we alluded to, will be back next year.
Right.
There's another offensive rebound and then the foul coming over the back.
But a good foul by Romeo Bryant from the backside. One, he prevented the basket.
Coach Marks bringing something to the officials' attention, asking them to look at it on the coming down on this end. As Mr. Bill Brew knocks down the first of 2 free throws.
Okay, so Romeo Bryant not too thrilled, it looks like, coming off the floor at this time.
And we've got a lane violation, so that one will not count. Looks like we got a little indecision here on the part of our officials trying to get it straight at the scorer's table.
Want to say thank you while we have a moment to the administration here at Inglewood High School for allowing the Channel 22 crew, myself, Renard and Jeff Lim on camera. Again, we got a split crew. The other guys are over cross on the other side of town. We don't have a score yet in that contest. I certainly would like to know how Lusinger is doing against Chino Hills. That's a matchup of two teams that are second place in their respective leagues.
And I expect for that to be a real barn burner. I hope we can get a score to find out what's going on, but clearly that's going to be, I think, a team that comes out of that win is really going to have some momentum into their second round game later on this weekend. But back to this game at hand, the officials still trying to sort out the concern over here on the table as the players are out there trying to get ready, and they need to relax. One of the things that I had talked with Coach Marks at after halftime was trying to find out if there was any interest on his part to put both of his big men in, Romeo Bryant along with Aaron Key. He said, no, we're going to still play them one at a time, but more importantly, wants to make sure his offense gets kicking. And they clearly have come out here the second half and shown some improvement. And no doubt, if they can get a few more buckets, get some momentum before the end of this third period, they might put a little scare into Inglewood in that fourth period.
Well, it's been a 15-10 quarter because it was 15 at the half. So again, Lawndale putting some points up. Got to strengthen that defense just a little bit more in the last minute and a half here.
Exactly. Nice. There's Pearsall, the young man we've been waiting on all night long. Finally looks like he's decided to wake up and play here. Nice, strong move to the paint. Drew the foul on the big man. He'll step to the line now.
Well, Pearsall seeing some fresh fish, and that's what those offensive guys do. He go, man, I got me a fresh one right here. I'm going to take him.
You saw him just look over at Lopez saying, let's play some ball now. Let's see if he can finish the three, and he does.
So a 17-point ball game, 1:28 left.
Pearsall with 5 points here in this third period.
Can the Cardinals come with some defensive pressure here? Well, they're going at Key, but Key doing the right thing. If you're going to foul, stop him from scoring.
I think that was a smart foul. Make this young man go to the charity stripe. He's not a starter. Let's find out if he can knock some free throws down. And more importantly, if he misses one or two of these and they can get the ball and go score, that was a win. Well, Singleton gets the first one.
Right, they sent Singleton for a moment there. We thought it was going to be Lockwood, the sophomore, going to the bench. We know it again. He's rounding into his game. Singleton a little more experience as a player because he's a senior as well.
Well, this is a senior-heavy team, as we pointed to earlier. And there's Pearsall with the right-hand shot. He's left-handed. And wow, Millum under there among the land of the Giants, unable to get it to go down. The officials say it was a block. Then they say, no, it was a
hell ball.
Hell ball, and they're going to give that back to the Cardinals. So the Cardinals need to get a bucket here.
Right now, Munoz with it out top. Out on the floor with Munoz is Jason Lopez. They look inside. Instead, they turn it over. Inglewood comes back the other way on the run. Singleton with it. He pulls it out. Also with him out there is Harper, along with Roderick Shaw and the big guy, Charles Lockwood. Singleton shot no good, but they come down with the rebound. Something they've done the whole game, Renard, is control the board.
And there's Singleton with a strong drive along the baseline. Put that shot up uncontested, knocks it down.
He thought about dunking it for a moment. We see he's got a huge patch on his leg. Don't know whether that affected his decision or not. 13 seconds left in the quarter. Lawndale with the ball. They would definitely play for one and only one shot here. That shot put up from the outside doesn't go. They keep the scramble going, which is good. That ends the quarter. So at least, even though they took the shot a little bit early, they were able to prevent the Sentinels from coming away and getting another scoring opportunity.
Well, that's been the biggest quarter for Lawndale. They scored 13 points in that period. That has been more than they've scored in just about the entire ball game. So clearly, Coach Mark's conversation at halftime about offense had a good effect. They came out. Now, can they continue to score? But more importantly, can they come up with some defensive stops? That's what they've got to do in this fourth period.
And down by 21 as we start the fourth, they've got to come up with a bunch of defensive stops.
Indeed. But I think, like you and I talked about earlier, I think Coach Marks would consider this a win. If they can get down or get as close as 10 and finish the ball game strong, I think he can have a pretty good ride home and look forward to next season.
Well, he's going with a small lineup, that's for sure. He doesn't have either of his big men in there. We've been asking for both of them at the same time.
So I imagine he's going to continue to try to pick up the tempo, and he thinks perhaps he's got his best shooters out there on the floor.
Well, he may have them, but he has nothing on the boards. And as evidenced by the first play there, which results in a putback for the basket. But let's see how
there's the Achilles heel, that offensive rebound, as both of the big men converge on Gray, knock it out of bounds, and it looks like we're going to get a foul, or no, they're going to say he knocked it out of bounds. Clean block underneath. Yeah. Munoz will take it out. So as we were talking, he went extremely small, and looks like, did it go off of the knee of Gray? It looks like no, it'll stay down underneath the Cardinal bucket. They'll get another chance at it. And they are truly having to deal with a height advantage or disadvantage, if you will. A nice offensive rebound there for the Cardinals. One of the rare ones we've seen as the young man Young throws it down from deep. So Young wakes up here in the second period, or the second half.
He certainly does.
He had a rough first half.
Wow. That's just catch and shoot there or pass and catch and shoot, I should say.
And that was a pretty assist by the big man Singleton as he was able. And And the official's doing the right thing, avoiding the tech. That's a good call, official.
Yeah.
Teach the young man how close he was to a technical. Hopefully he'll avoid that the next time. Certainly understand the frustration on the part of Young, but that frustration, I think, is a part of his team. Not frustrated at the other team, and I think that's what the official recognized and didn't pull that T on him.
And I got to tell you, Renard, I just saw something that I like as an official and I'm actually going to use. Here's what we know. That was a technical.
Exactly.
Okay?
Clearly.
The official, the playoff official, Mike O'Connor, opted not to, administer the technical, but instead wanted to make his point, had the young man come and hand him the ball. All right.
Outstanding teaching moment.
Lesson well taught, perhaps even better than giving a technical. Now, if this were a one-point ball game, all right, I'm sure the opposing coach would have argued the other point, okay? I don't need teachable moments. I need you to call a technical for a violation. So very interesting.
Exactly. Good point, Rufus. And I think, again, speaks well to our officials tonight. They recognized the score. There was no need for a technical to add on points. And clearly, I think he took the advantage to use it as a teaching moment. And I think that paid off huge dividends for the Lawndale team and taught them something. Wow, young man Singleton playing looking like a Lamar Odom there, left-handed, playing on top. There he is with the defense. And I like the way Coach Patrick Roy plays him out on the top.
Wow, Gray can't get it to go underneath. Misses a layup, 53-29 now. Largest lead of the game. Coming back on is Key. Going out is Gray and Munoz. Well, he's got to step off the floor.
Yeah, he's got five
guys up. Okay, well, send him back to the table if you want him back in.
So Coach Patrick Roy's got most of his bench in playing this last 6:22.
Yeah, well, he's got, and you're right. I mean, the franchise, that's Ron Mitchell, his leading scorer. has been on the bench for quite a while. Not because of anything in particular, but because of the fact that they've got control of the game. Coach Roy knows that the next round of the playoffs come Friday night, and his team will either be playing.
Looks like San Juan Hill or Irvine.
Right. Down in that half of the bracket. If you look at the seedings, you would guess it's going to be San Juan Hills, and I know they've already done the coin flip. Can't tell you who won, but that's what it looks like it'll be. Let's see if we've got a score here on our losing game. This one, 55-29, double team pressure. Pearsall gets rid of it, gets it over Lamar Young. He does a spin on the baseline, does enough to draw the foul, so he'll go to the line to shoot two.
So the Cardinals trying to play here, but clearly this second squad for Coach Roy, they're keeping the intensity up on this Cardinal team. Still playing man-to-man with 5:39 to go here in the game.
So, with the ball, Arnett, I'd asked about him earlier. Of course, he's a senior. Jalen Arnett, for the Cardinals, #1, recognized last week in the cover game. He, along with Key, as the two seniors on the team, and what is likely to be his final high school experience. Coach Marks gets him in the game, which you can appreciate, and I'm sure he appreciated along with his family.
Clearly. And, you know, I had a chance to talk to one of the teachers from Lawndale, and he told me that the young man, Jalen Arnett, is a real joy to have in class. He's one of those young men that's just a good student, and he really appreciates him being in the class. And I know Coach Marks is going to miss him on the bench next year, because I'm sure, being a senior, he's one of those young men that does serve as a leader.
Munoz rises up. His shot draws a lot of iron, doesn't go. Munoz been travel violation there.
So you can see some of the mistakes of this team that Coach Roy's got out there, and that's basically inexperience. Young man taking 2-minute steps, and I'm sure he'd be the first to tell you he knew it before he got that shot off.
So out top, Lamar Young along with Pearsall. Pearsall pulls up with the triple, gets it to go. 55-32, our score, fans. 4:30 left in the contest.
Pearsall with 8 points here in the second half as the Sentinels throw it up. And again, offensive rebound. Another one. And yet another one. Yes. So 3 offensive rebounds on that trip, and they score. And I think we get a charging call. And it is going to be a charging call going against Bledsoe. Andrew Bledsoe in there after the team had 3 offensive rebounds. Bledsoe went to the paint, tried to get it up, but ran over Pearsall going to the hole.
So, Cardinals will take possession.
Like the officials trying to sort it out here. And it is going to be is it a foul? No, they'll take it out underneath the Inglewood bucket. And this second squad keeping up the full court pressure now. I guess they're getting in their practice for full court pressure.
They get into the hands of Lamar Young. He's had a couple of big baskets here. Nice spin move by Lamar. Curls into the basket. Can't get it to drop. They struggle for it. Key with it. Key puts it up and in.
Oh, I like seeing Aaron Key with a bucket. Young man struggling to get his hands on it. That's one of the things. They don't run plays to get the ball to him down low, so he has to take advantage of those offensive rebounds.
Boy, they caught him with his head turned. That's what veteran players can do to you. Guys like Singleton that we're talking about with them, they saw Key with the inexperience, had his head turned, man, and that was easy pickings.
Indeed it was. Key got caught, as you mentioned, with his back turned. The lob went down underneath on the baseline. and the young man from Inglewood was able to finish. Coach Marks didn't like it, called a timeout, and his team down here, what is that, 23 points?
Yeah.
He's still coaching.
Exactly.
Still teaching.
Still
and I
teaching.
think this is going to pay off for this Cardinal team next year.
It will. I'm hoping our fans, and I know Jeff is up there on camera, is getting a shot of the cheer squad here and the drill team. I mean, they put on quite a show, I must admit. You got to give credit where credit is due, along with their pep band. I mean, this is entertaining. You know, we did a football game last year. I think it was Wilmington Banning that came up to Losinger. And I got to tell you, absolutely the best high school band.
From my understanding, almost 40 years, and I've seen him the entire time. He is very committed, and you'll always see this Inglewood Sentinel band in parades. And
Bill Brew trying to do a little bit too much with it, loses the handle, so we come back the other way. But all kinds of pressure, and now we're going to get a foul call, and they call that foul, I believe, against Reggie Fields Jr. Yep.
So clearly, Coach Roy has emptied his bench. He's gone down to give everybody a chance to play because many of these young men might not get a chance to play in the second round as this team looks to go further in the playoffs.
And the other thing, though, is on the other hand, Renard, the flip side of that is sometimes you never know when you're going to need these guys.
Exactly.
Which I've also seen some coaches do. I'm not sure what Coach Roy's philosophy is. You know him better than I do. But sometimes you want guys to get some game experience so that in case they're needed later on, they don't come out with a degree of nervousness.
And act like they've never been in a ball game. I know exactly what you're talking about. And knowing Patrick Roy as I do, he's also getting these young men ready for next year. So with 2:45 remaining here, Rufus, look like it's all coming up green tonight for the Sentinels. And we got another turnover, and that's been pretty much the theme of this Cardinal team. And I'm certainly looking forward to next season to see the improvement and the growth that this team will have over the course of the summer as you see another bucket by the Sentinels.
Another bucket by the Sentinels extends the lead out to 61-35, a 26-point lead. Obviously the largest of the game. Boy, the Cardinals hung around, and they hung as long as their talent would take them. But at the end, it's real simple in terms of what happened. Boy, Inglewood asserted themselves. They've got the more experience.
Clearly.
They've got the better athletes. And they've made the Cardinals pay for it.
That's a push. The officials didn't call it. They got him stepping on the line. That's a bad call. I think they were in just a bad position, unable to see the Sentinel defender with his hand on key as he tried to go baseline. Forced him out of bounds. The official saw him step out, says the ball will go over to the Sentinels.
And number 12, Damon Rogers, one of the starters, goes out. Mikhail Wade comes in.
So the Sentinels walking across the timeline, slowing it down a little bit here now. There's your, and they like to make that second pass underneath. Get it into the big man for an easy off the glass. Went off the leg of one of the Cardinals. So Inglewood will shoot it up again. Another offensive rebound, but the foul. Millen can't compete with this Inglewood team, and that's another one of those things that we talk, just clearly outmanned underneath in height and length.
Of course, right now the Cardinals playing out. Let's look at who they've got on the floor. They've got number 1, Jalen Arnett, along with 4, Marcus Millam. They've also got Jason Lopez on the floor with Eric Gray and Aaron Key. So it would appear at this point, of course, we still got a lot of time left, that Coach Marks is going to let Aaron Key and Jalen Arnett end their careers on the floor.
And I think that's an outstanding way to finish the season. Let the young men, game's over. let the young men play it on out. Let them feel good about at least finishing the game and the season on the court. There's Arnett with it. Let's see if he can get a shot off. He does. Would have liked for that to have gone down for the young man.
Well, you certainly would have. I think he's content with the fact that he put it up.
Yeah, that's one of the few shot opportunities we've seen him take. So the clock is ticking away, and the Sentinels are still putting it on them. That was Bill Brew with two more.
Very athletic.
Jumps extremely well from what I've seen in this game.
Eric Gray bringing it up against pressure. He's got Bill Brew on him, kicks it out to Lopez. Lopez runs into traffic, almost loses it.
That's over and back. No call.
No. Wow, good block that time by the big man, Aaron Key.
Like to see Key being aggressive like that. Clearly the young man has really grown this year. And he's had some big plays, just not enough of them in this game.
Davis, Eric Gray Jr., I should say, comes out the game. So just as we speculated, and looks like he's still leaving in the two seniors, Key and Jalen Arnett. And quite frankly, at this point, fans, that's essentially the story that's left here. 30-point ball game, 65-35, with 54 seconds left. Still trying to get your score from the losing Chino Hills game. Not successful in doing that just yet, but if we get it before we leave the air, we'll certainly pass it along to you fans.
So it looks like Inglewood's just going to milk the clock here. And the turnover will give the ball in another shot opportunity to the Cardinals. See if they can hit one of their last couple of shots for the season and go out on a good note here.
Javon McClinton, and even though this is a senior-laden team, you look at the underclassmen, and all of the underclassmen are sophomores with the exception of one junior. So the future looks good for this Inglewood team in terms of guys that they'll have returning next year.
Indeed, a lot of sophomores coming back, and that should bode well for them, especially with all the experience that they're getting this year. Coach Roy says he plays a lot of guys. Matter of fact, when we talked to him, we asked him who was starting. He said he didn't even know.
No.
So he's played a lot of different lineups this season, and no doubt it shows that his team plays well no matter who he puts out there.
65-36 their score. Looks like that may wrap up the score. A nice steal there. Boy, near foul could have been called. That's Millam trying to make the play. He's being harassed. Millam goes all the way to the basket. Foul put up by Key. Can't get it to go. 5 seconds left, fans. Still put there. Let's see, can they throw one up? That shot's good. But it doesn't go. But that makes our final 65-36 in favor of the Sentinels of Inglewood, the Ocean League champions coming into tonight's contest, number 3 seed in Division 3A. They play like a 3 seed here on their home court.
Well, clearly they were, as we mentioned, the better team on the court tonight. They had the athleticism, they had the veterans, and they played like they were supposed to. Now they move on to the second round. On the other hand, for the Lawndale Cardinals, somewhat of a disappointing season, I'm sure, for Coach Marks, but he's got to feel good about next year and the potential of what this team perhaps can do and what they might have next year. And I think the fans in Lawndale have a lot to be optimistic about for next year.
Absolutely, Renard. I think, as you certainly mentioned, the youthfulness of the team, only losing 2 seniors, good junior varsity program. They know some of the things that they've got to do, that it takes to be a competitive team. You've got to play. You got to play spring league. You got to play summer league. You got to play fall league. You got to get in as many tournaments as you can. Take your lumps. Learn along the way. That's what this team has to do.
Indeed, and I'm sure Coach Marks is going to have the majority of these young men playing ball this summer, working with them, and we'll see that evidence come the fall.
Let's see, so why don't we take a quick pause here on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22, and as soon as we give Jeff Lim, our camera guy, a chance to get set up, we'll stand up and do a post-game show. Okay, fans, we're back here at Inglewood High School, home of the Sentinels, Rufus Washington and Raynard Ricks. We just watched the first round of the 2010-11 Ford CIF Southern Section Playoffs, Division 3A. Lawndale got an at-large bid. They came in and had to play the number 3 seed at home. I guess the good part about it, it was a short trip.
Indeed, just a few miles down the road, and we talked about how these teams knew each other quite well. And a lot of these young men play ball with each other, so they were quite accustomed to playing. But clearly, this was a big game for the Sentinels as they look forward to go into the playoffs much deeper than they did last year. On the other hand, Rufus, this Lawndale team has a lot to look forward to next year. I am really, honestly excited about the potential of Coach Marks' team next year. He talked about how they were weak at the beginning of the year, needing to get some play. A lot of the young men hadn't had the opportunity to play summer ball. He's going to make sure they get that opportunity this year, and it should show up and pay off dividends for the Cardinals next season.
It certainly should. And let's talk about this game. Lawndale hung tough, first of all, for a quarter.
Oh, yes.
And actually for a half. But again, you could see Inglewood just starting to stretch away from them. What was a 15-point lead became 15, 15 became 20, eventually became 30. But the point was, and we talked about this during the broadcast, the Cardinals never quit, and some guys just fought to the end.
Let me tell you, if nothing else, you watch this game and watch the heart and the hustle of the young men from Lawndale. We've had a chance to see them over the past couple of weeks, and I tell you, they brought their A game tonight. I was really impressed with the hustle and the effort. Gray came in that first half, picked his team up. Munoz started off hot, came in, and then in the second half, Pearsall tried to give them some boost. Just as we talked about, just a little too much firepower on the part of the Sentinels, but clearly the hustle, the effort that the Cardinals put forth tonight, they have nothing to hang their head about tonight as they go back home.
They absolutely don't. It's kind of like the way football teams look at bowl games.
Indeed.
It's kind of, a spring practice game, more or less getting ready, and that's what this was. This was a early spring practice game for the Cardinals, but a good one against a quality team, because that's how, as athletes and teams, you want to measure yourself against the best. And boy, they ran up against Patrick Roy and Inglewood Sentinels, who are one of the best.
Indeed, one of the better teams that Lawndale has faced all season, and you have to feel sorry for them to come in here and have to go against the third-ranked seeded team in this entire playoff bracket. Clearly, they had an uphill battle, but again, they hung tight, hung and played extremely well, and no doubt you saw that in the effort tonight.
I guess they're turning the house lights down on us. That means we kind of need to wrap it up, but we need to let the fans know a couple other things.
Please.
Hawthorne was playing tonight against Mark Keppel. We don't have a result, but we certainly hope that the Cardinals had a good showing. And Lusinger was playing tonight out in Chino Hills against Chino Hills, and that was a battle of two second-seeded teams who were going at it. So Lusinger had an even-Steven chance in that one, and I thought Hawthorne also had a pretty good chance in theirs. Fans, we can tell you, if either one of those teams prevailed, and certainly hopefully both did, that means we'll be somewhere on Friday night. So kind of stay tuned. One last thing as we wrap up, though, and send you home, I think it's only fair. It's our final broadcast for the Lawndale Cardinals that we recognize their player of the game.
Indeed.
And Renard, I tell you what, you've been a gracious guest here and a part of the team, and always coming out when you're asked to. I'm going to leave the choice to yours. You saw the same game I did. What do you think?
I tell you, it was a rough road to hoe for the entire team. We talked about how Munoz came out hot. Gray came in with the energy, and then Pearsall picked it up in the second half. I tell you what, Rufus, I think I'm going to nominate the two seniors on that Lawndale team as our players of the game. Aaron Key and the young man who got just a little bit of play, Mr. Arnett, came in, played their best to try to represent the school, and I think they did an outstanding job. We want to wish them the best as they look forward to college next year.
And you're exactly right, and that's Jalen Arnett. So, with that, those two guys came in and represented. And as you say, the other three guys really had different points in the game in which they were effective. That was Munoz who got them started, Eric Gray who kept it going, and Pearsall who got it going late in the game. So anyway, fans, there you have it. Again, our crew tonight was real small. I can give you everybody's name. I'm looking right at them. Jeff Lim on camera. Raynard Ricks beside me. I'm Rufus Washington saying once again for Channel 22 Sports, it's been a pleasure having you join us, and
Indeed.
We're hoping there's more 2011 playoff coverage in our future. So for now, Renard and I, we're going to say good night.